Only mode.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. It's Tuesday, 28th of February, just gone 12 o'clock. My name is Alan Cowie. I'm from the New Anglia Growth Hub. In case you're unfamiliar with us, we provide free, impartial and confidential support for businesses face-to-face in Norfolk and Suffolk. And we are back again for another series of webinars in association with Barclays. Now we'll get started in just a moment. Some of you have already got your questions in, so we'll answer those shortly. You can type your questions into the chat box, or if you press the yellow raise your hand button, then that tells me that you want to say something. But what will happen is it's about a half-hour presentation. We'll have a quick pause, I guess, for a half time. You can get some questions in then, and then we'll go into the second part, and then at the end there'll be another chance for questions. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Welcome James West. James is a senior business growth advisor at the Growth Hub. Hello, James.
Hello, Alan. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. So grants, we've heard quite a lot about it in recent years. So I guess the first question is we need to understand what actually a grant is. Barry from Aardvac asked the question, is it really a loan scheme that needs to be repaid? So if we could just start, tell us what a grant is, and also why does the government make this funding available for businesses?
Absolutely. Well, that's a good question. It's actually a common question when you're going to businesses. I think we're all pre-programmed to think you don't get something for nothing in this world, and that's often true. But with regards to a grant is a sum of money given to a business. It's not expected to be repaid. It is in essence a gift, but it's there to do a particular purpose. Now, the reason why the government supports grants and encourages local bodies like the Local Enterprise Partnership to support businesses in that way is that it can be a cash injection into a business, preferably to stimulate something that otherwise wouldn't happen. So the idea is this idea that, there are many businesses out there, I'm sure many of the people listening have businesses where they really want to do something, they're struggling to find the money, they're struggling to find that last little bit. And this grants are always about just pushing things over that finishing line. Now, it's not always, we don't want to dwell too much on this idea of a last resort. Grant schemes also, in giving money to that business, can free up money to be used elsewhere by that business. So there's a net gain. Whenever this money is put into the local economy, it helps businesses to grow, it helps them to free up investment that they can use elsewhere, and we get a net gain. But no, they do not need to be repaid. Okay, hello everybody. So I'm James West, I'm Senior Business Growth Advisor for Norfolk. Today we're going to talk about the micro grant scheme, which has been with us since the autumn. It's a grant scheme of between 1 and 10,000 at an intervention rate of 20%. So in other words, the minimum sort of expenditure that you would need to be making is £5,000 to get a £1,000 grant, and anything above 50,000 could attract a grant of 10,000. Now, between you and I and the gatepost, this the total amount is hopefully going to rise in the not too near future, but we're just waiting for that to be signed up. So this could, by the time we get some applications from people today, for example, this could be even more generous. So, is this going to be right for you and your business? Okay, so let me just get that up there on my screen. So, technical issue. There we go. Oh, okay, so before you apply for a grant, you need to ask yourself, what do you need to buy to improve your business? So grants are financial, they're all about supporting some sort of expenditure in your business. So what sort of forthcoming expenditure do you have in your business? Would you like a 20% contribution towards that? I think the answer is probably going to be yes. I can't see why it would be no. So that's the time to look around and see what grant funding is available. Would this money relieve a strain on the cash in your business? As I touched on earlier, it's really about making things easier for you as a business, freeing up some cash that you can invest elsewhere, and also to some extent demonstrating that this will help something that otherwise wouldn't happen. Would it speed up your plans? Very often businesses look for grant funding when there's something they're going to do, and let's be honest, they're probably going to do it anyway in order to grow their business. But this money, may help speed up that process, and that's always good for everyone. So what's on your shopping list? So this is really where we talk about the sort of things that the micro grant scheme, this particular grant scheme, might cover. Now there's a detailed list of what's covered in the guidance for applicants document, which you can find, I'm sure Alan will point in the right direction at the end of this, but you can actually access it through our website as well. But the sorts of things that are covered by the microgrant scheme are premises, that's the construction of, the purchase of, the extension of, or the improvement. So note that leasing and renting is not in there. Fixtures, fittings and furniture, that's physical things that you need in your premises to make it fit for purpose. Plant equipment, machinery and tooling, obviously that's more relevant to people that manufacture or make or engineer things. IT equipment, software and licenses, so again physical hardware as well as intangible software. Professional fees like legal planning, architectural fees, now they can only be claimed if they're part of a capital project to do with premises. Of course you won't have architectural fees unless you're building a building. Creation of a new website related to the proposal to launch a new product or service. So just to say that people get excited when we say this will cover websites, as do I, just to understand that it won't cover a refresh of a website or a first website if you've never had one. It's about improving a website for a new product or service that you're bringing to market. But we'll talk more about that later. Marketing costs, again, not all marketing costs, not your normal general everyday marketing costs, but those related to this particular project, which I'll talk more about in a second. Consultancy services provided by an external consultant, so that could be something to do with marketing, that could be something to do with product development, for example. And then costs for participation in fairs, trade shows, exhibitions and other trade events. So if you're going somewhere in the UK or even somewhere abroad to trade shows to help you grow your business, those sorts of costs will be included as well. So there's a number of costs that can be included in there. It's difficult to explain exactly what is covered. It's always best to contact us and we'll go through your shopping list with you and tell you what we think might be eligible. So the basic rules, who can apply for the micro grant scheme? So you need to have been trading really a minimum of 6 months. So you've got to have some turnover, you've got to have some cash, you've got to have some customers and money going through the business. Any legal status can apply, but you do need to be registered either registered with HMRC as a self-employed individual if you are indeed self-employed, or more likely you'll be an organisation filed at Companies House, so that's a limited company, a CIC, community interest company, a not-for-profit organisation, etc. You must be going forward in time. You can't claim retrospectively. As with all grant schemes, this idea of stimulating something that may otherwise not have happened means that we're always talking about things that are going to happen in the future. I'm afraid there's no point in saying, well, I've just done this, I've just spent this money to help grow my business. Can I claim any of that back? I'm afraid the answer will always be no. The grant is paid in arrears, so you need to have the full amount ready. So in other words, you need to go and spend the money you said that you would spend, and then you are sort of rebated the potential of up to 20% through the grant. Now, most sectors, but not all, can be supported, so check with your growth hub advisor first. This micro grant scheme is pretty broad. It can help an awful lot of sectors. The only sector that it really definitely can't support is what we call retail, which is really simply selling anything to end users, so shops and stores and things like that. But many other sectors are covered. I'm not going to sort of go through the whole list because it would be a bit boring and may not apply to many of you, but just come and ask us the question and we'll tell you whether we think it's really covered or not.
Yeah, I think, James, that kind of emphasises that last point, doesn't it? Don't even bother looking and for yourself, just ask us because we can quickly tell you.
Yeah, I mean, what does it take to finish the email, pick up the phone, have a 30-second conversation with us? We can make it that easy for you. If in doubt, ask, and we'll give you a straight answer. So how does it work? So look, it's a simple really, that for every £5 you spend, you could get up to £1 cash back on what you're doing. So if you've got a project for, say, £25,000 in order to buy something to improve your business, could be a piece of machinery, could be some improvements to your premises, could be some marketing related to that, to launching a new product or service, trade shows, etc. Then spend 25,000, you could potentially get £5,000 of that back, which will help your cash flow, help your business, and help you to reinvest that in other things that push your business forward. Notice in red there, minimum proposal £5,000. So there is a minimum. Your project needs to be £5,000 worth of eligible spend. And I would suggest at that level, obviously you've got to weigh up the what's involved in applying for the grant scheme against the return you'll get. But anything above that is always worth it. So, to qualify, so we've talked a little bit about the type of expenditure. I've mentioned that list of type of expenditure, which is available in the guidance document. You can always ask us for more details on that. So it's now, why are you worthy of this money? How can you prove that you need this money? So to qualify, you need to be doing one of the following, just one of the following. If you're doing all four, that's great. That's fantastic. That'll be more power to your application, but you only need to satisfy one. So first of all, increasing production. So simply making more of whatever it is you make if you have a physical product, or delivering more services or new services, etc. if you're a service delivery company. Increasing efficiency, i.e. cutting costs or saving time. So this is where you get more for less. Bringing new goods or market or services to market. It says in brackets there, doesn't have to be innovative, just new to your business. So we're not expecting you to come up with the next design for your iPhone or anything similar to that. It's just simply if you're looking to take your business in a slightly new direction, you're looking to launch a new product or service that you know that your customers would like, or some sort of add-on to what you do already, that's an innovation. That's bringing new goods or services to market. And the final one there is creating jobs. So if this is a basic expansion of your business that will result in you employing more people, that's always a good start. So again, you only need to satisfy one of those, not all four or any of them.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you, James. So just take a breather there. We'll just have a look through some of these questions. By the way, if you've got anything you want to say now, then raise your hand and we'll come to you, but there will be another opportunity later on. And James, if you wouldn't mind, if it's possible, just to perhaps slightly readjust your microphone just so we can hear you just perhaps a little bit clearer, that would
technical
be.
difficulty. Is that better?
Yes, that is better. Thank you. Yeah. What have we got here? Yeah, is the grant specific to a certain business sector? We have covered that. You can see the guidance notes, of course, on the website, which does list about sectors. But as we said, the easiest way is for you just to pick up the phone and ask us. Question from Rob. I'm based in Cambridgeshire. Is there a program for me? There is, and it's signpost to grow. We can put you in touch with the people that run that grant scheme. It's actually quite similar for this one, and a similar application process. So yes, if you are in Cambridge or indeed neighbouring counties in Essex, then there is likely to be some support for you. But for this grant scheme, we're interested in supporting businesses in Norfolk and Suffolk only. Okay, so let's crack on then with the second part.
Okay, so what is a project? Often you'll hear myself and my colleagues and people to do with grants talking about projects. And to be honest, as small business people, you don't think in terms of projects. You're more likely to thinking, well, I need to do X and Y in the next 6 months to grow my business. Of course, when we complete a grant application, it has to be wrapped up with a sort of a start and a finish. Here's what we're going to do. Here's when we'll know when we've done it. Here's the amount of money that we're going to spend, where we're going to spend it, and these are the outcomes that we hope to get from it. So that's why we often talk about a project. So we've got some images here to represent the sort of things that can be covered. We've talked a little bit earlier, but you've got forklift trucks there, vans, commercial vehicles. In the centre there's attending a trade show. Machinery on the right, which I'm reliably informed is a CNC cutting machine. Office furniture, that's fixtures and fittings, IT equipment, and professional services. I will just mention, because this question's come up recently, somebody has successfully, I think actually maybe one of our case studies, somebody successfully got support for a forklift that was second-hand. So it doesn't have to be brand new equipment, it can be second-hand. Of course, there are certain things that it can't support, so things like stock, wages, or other bills. So I'm afraid things like leasing and renting, things like the wages for your staff, and sort of any other ongoing revenue costs. Some revenue costs are good, but general ongoing revenue costs like your regular marketing, etc., I'm afraid can't be included. So the process, well, we try to keep the process as simple as possible, and that's where my colleagues and I come in, because we will, as much as possible, hold your hand through this, do as much as we can to make it as smooth as possible. So it's a simple application form, a single application form. It just wants some information about your business, how long you've been trading, etc., what you do, what you see the opportunity as, where you're going to spend the money. We need to provide some supporting evidence. Most of that is financial, and I would imagine most businesses will have that, and if you don't, we will work with you to work out how you can get that. Once that's all completed, it goes off and the grant is quickly assessed. At the moment, it goes in front of a grant panel. There are possibly going to be some changes, in which case for smaller grants it's even going to be an even quicker process where it doesn't go in front of the panel. Larger grant applications still will. The grant is either approved or rejected, so of course it's a yay or a nay. If it's a nay, then there'll always be a reason behind that, so you can understand where it could go right. But what I would say is, largely, if we think that we're simply the gatekeepers here at the Growth Hub. We unfortunately don't get to make the decisions. But if we think you've got a good chance of applying and we help you all the way through that application process, and we lend our weight behind the application, then we would have, so we can't make any promises, but we'd have some reasonable confidence that it would be accepted. If approved, then you've just got to wait for an offer letter, which you need to sign and return, and then you can start spending the money. And then ultimately, you send in the receipts to say that you've spent everything you said you would spend, and you'll get the value of the grant back, which is, as we said, up to £10,000, up to 20% maximum value of whatever you have spent. So we're here to help. So I've just touched on this really. Growth Hub advisors can help you complete the forms. I've written many grant application forms, and I should write many more for people. So we're always there to help. I generally ask the businesses that I work with, just get it down on a piece of paper, whatever you can fill in, get it back to me. I'll fill in the gaps and make it pretty. We're here to answer any questions you've got. We're here to back your application. As I say, we're not the decision makers, and we can't overly influence whether you're going to be successful or not, but we can back your application. We can go from my first-hand experience and say, look, this is a great business, what they're doing is great, it's going to lead in the right direction, it's going to help them grow, it'd be great if we could support this. And of course there's other support that we can we'll provide. Today we're talking about a single grant scheme that we can help you access, that we happen to be the gatekeepers for, but of course there's plenty of other support out there that we can help you with. So Alan, I think you're going to talk us through some of these case studies, so
yeah, I just thought it would be helpful just to put these into a real life example. So the first one we've got is a company called Infusions. They're based out in Rougham near Bury St Edmunds, and they supply basically food and catering equipment to other businesses, so to hotels, to restaurants, and other food businesses. Now they actually would supply fresh food, but also frozen food, and in those he had lots of satellite freezers, which were obviously quite expensive to run. If you're, rather than having one single walk-in freezer, having lots of separate ones requires a lot more electricity to power, but it also limits how much stock you can hold. So so the owner bought a new walk-in freezer, and the grant was 20% contribution towards the cost of that freezer, in this case £1,500. So he was just buying one item, that walk-in freezer. If you remember a few slides ago, we talked about how that fits one of the criteria. Well, actually, it's increasing productivity, because he's actually offering more services. You can offer more produce, so that ticks that box. But it's also an efficiency, because you're cutting bills and saving energy. So on that occasion, it ticked 2. But remember, you only actually have to satisfy one of those criteria. The next one is Aquablast, based up in Beccles. If you just want to move that on one, James. Yeah, Aquablast, based up in Beccles. This is a really interesting company. If you've seen excavators and diggers, they have crawler tracks, and what the problem is with crawler tracks is that the rubber and the steel are bound together, so they're quite difficult to recycle once they're no longer used. You can't burn them, you can't put them into landfill. Well, you can, but it's not very environmentally friendly. So what these guys do is they basically blast the crawler tracks with high pressure water and separate the rubber crumb is separated. They use that for things like playgrounds and so on, and the steel they can then sell on for scrap. The problem is these crawler tracks are incredibly heavy, very awkward to maneuver around their their recycling plant, and so in this case the business owner wanted to buy a bigger forklift. This was double the size of their previous one, and again that was a 20% contribution towards the total cost of that forklift, in this case £1,600, and how it's satisfying the criteria is that it means that the process is faster, so they can actually recycle more of these crawler tracks, and ultimately that leads to increased turnover. So that's just a couple of examples of how it worked. In both of those cases they were just buying one item. The first one was a walk-in freezer, the second one was a forklift truck. You could have more than one item though that you're looking to purchase. So we've got plenty more examples if you want to see how it can work. And all the guidance notes are available on the website. And if you've got any questions, then please just ask them. So this really is your chance. If you want to ask anything now, then you just need to press the raise your hand button and we can come to you. If you want to take these slides away as a handout, they are available. You just need to you just need to go to the, I think you can hopefully see a handout section as a PDF, and all you need to do is just drag that into your own work area. We'll also make this presentation available online if you want to watch it again, and as I said, if you've got any questions, then our contact details are on the screen, 0300 333 6536. You can also email us at growthhub@newanglia.co.uk. I think we had a question here from Anne. Anne, are you on the line?
Hi, yes, sorry, I was just exploring what the buttons did, so apologies for that.
No, we can all hear you loud and clear, so off you go. Ask your question, please.
If you've got a project that's already started, presumably this can only apply to new projects, i.e. you can't spend the money before you've submitted a grant application, so it can't be retrospective.
No, that's correct. It can't be retrospective. However, it depends what you mean by the project. So you may have, completed 50% of what you have planned, and then there may be a period of time where you're recouping, trying to get your finances in order to deliver the next half. So it's although you might be in your mind partway through your project, it could be a fresh project as far as the micro grant application goes. But unfortunately, anything that you have already delivered or in essence financially committed to, then I'm afraid it can't be retrospective.
Brilliant, but what I've understood is actually if you turn it into a project, which I'm very familiar with, you can actually chunk something that, let's say, is a long term, if you're growing your business and you've got an end point in mind, if you chunk it into bits, you could actually say, well, that's phase 1 of the project, we're now into phase 2, and submit an application for phase 2.
Very true. What you define as a project is up to you. It's as long as it satisfies the as long as it's got a start, a finish, and and an explicit cost, and it can go on the application in that sense. Whether you're thinking obviously as one big project to grow your business, no, that's absolutely fine. That's fine.
Brilliant, lovely. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Anne. Are there any other questions at this stage? If so, just press the button, raise your hand, and we can come to you. Got a question here from Glenn, Norfolk Safety, now trading for almost 2 years, looking to expand and develop a new product line to sell across the county. So I guess obviously we'd need more information, but trading 2 years, that's good. If they're looking to expand, yes, and certainly developing new product line, that's another interesting one. And just to re-emphasize the point, it doesn't have to change the world. It's something new that you're doing as a business. Either it's something that you've not sold before, which you're now able to sell, or offering a service which you weren't able to offer before. So that's what we mean when we're bringing a new product or service to market. Amanda Pickering asks, can you have more than one grant, James?
Good question. That's a good question. It's actually testing my knowledge, Alan. You may need to help me on this one. I think as far as ERDF goes, I believe you can have multiple.
Yeah, my understanding is that you need to have finished one, and then you can move on to the next. But yes, I believe that is the case. But
yeah, I think you can. Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing because with any grant application, you commit to achieving something, and you commit to providing the evidence, and so you won't be able to apply certainly. And also, for example, if it was through the same body or the same stream of funding, you would always need to satisfy that first grant. But I do believe that, and it's something I'll check afterwards, but I do believe that once you've had a successful micro grant, if the scheme is still running, and it's certainly running at the moment until August of next year, so there's almost a year and a half of funding left and plenty of money in the pot, that you could, if you were successful and did what you said you were going to do, spent the money, you could come back for a second bite of the cherry. I know that preference will always be given to first-time applicants, of course, because it's there to stimulate as many businesses as possible in that sense. But if you've been successful previously, there's a good chance that if there's funding available, that you'll be successful.
Okay, thank you, James. Final chance for any questions. So just press the button, raise your hand, and we can come to you. But actually, Amanda just came back in with just a second one, which is quite timely because she mentioned about looking for also funding from B Anglia for some help for some changes that she's making within her business towards environmental commitments. And actually, that's very timely because that is going to be the topic of our next webinar next month. We're going to be looking at B Anglia, which will support businesses looking to cut their energy bills. They have grants available if you're looking to make some modifications, some energy saving measures, and they've got free audits available. So we'll cover that. We're also going to look broadly at what other grants are available to help businesses to grow, and also we'll have a guest from the Department for International Trade who's going to be talking about Get Exporting To, which is a grant scheme of up to £3,000 at a 50% contribution, which can help you to get your goods or services into overseas markets. So that'll be the topic of our next webinar. So we hope you can join us for that. And that's just about it from us. So thank you very much to James. As I said, if you've got any other questions for us, then you've got our contact details and we'd be more than happy to help. So thank you, James, and we'll see you next time.
My pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.